Capricorn. This person is closer than you realize. What if I told you that the person you've been waiting for, searching for, perhaps even mourning, is already standing in your orbit? Not in some distant tomorrow, not in some fantasy you've constructed in the quiet hours of the night, but here, now, closer than you dare to believe. Capricorn, you've built walls so high that even you've forgotten what it feels like to see over them. You've convinced yourself that love is something you'll earn later, after you've achieved enough, after you've become enough. But what if the universe is whispering a different truth? What if this person sees you, not the version you're still sculpting, but the one that exists right now, raw and real and utterly worthy? In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to reveal 5 profound truths about what's happening in your emotional landscape right now. 5 reasons why this connection is closer than your guarded heart wants to admit. And if you're ready to finally understand why your soul keeps pulling you towards someone who feels both familiar and terrifying, then you need to stay with me until the very end. But first, do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. Because what I'm about to share isn't just astrology, it's a mirror. And sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is look directly at our own reflection, without flinching. Let's begin. You know what's interesting about Capricorn? You're the mountain climber of the Zodiac. Always ascending, always reaching for the next peak, the next achievement, the next proof that you're worthy of taking up space on this earth. But here's what nobody tells you about climbing mountains alone. You forget that someone might be climbing right beside you. This person, this soul that's closer than you realize, they're not waiting at the summit. They're not some prize you'll collect after you've conquered your demons and built your empire. They're here in the struggle, matching your pace, breathing the same thin air, understanding the weight you carry because they carry their own. But Capricorn, you've been so focused on the climb that you haven't noticed a hand reaching out to steady you when the path gets steep. You've been so determined to prove you don't need anyone that you've mistaken companionship for weakness. And that's the first truth you need to face. Strength isn't about carrying everything alone. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is turn your head and acknowledge that someone is choosing to walk this difficult path with you. Think about it. How many times have you felt their presence and dismissed it? How many times have they shown up consistently, quietly, without fanfare or demand? And you've told yourself it doesn't mean anything. You're so accustomed to transactional relationships, to people who only stay when you're shining, that you can't quite believe someone would love you in your becoming, in your messy middle, in your uncertain dawn. This person sees your ambition not as a wall, but as a window into your soul. They understand that your drive comes from a deep well of fear, the fear that if you stop moving, stop building, stop achieving, you'll disappear. That somehow, your worth is tied to your productivity, your success, your ability to control outcomes. And instead of being intimidated by your intensity, they're drawn to it, because they recognize that beneath that armor of competence is a heart that's been protecting itself for so long it's forgotten what it feels like to be held. The external image you project is magnificent. You're the CEO of your own life, the architect of your destiny, the person everyone relies on to have the answers. You walk into rooms with your head high, your plans organized, your emotions locked safely away where they can't betray you. People see you as untouchable, unshakable, a force of nature that doesn't need tenderness because you've transcended such vulnerabilities. But the internal truth? Late at night, when the world goes quiet and there's nothing left to accomplish, you wonder if anyone could love the person behind the achievements. You wonder if you removed all your titles, all your successes, all the things you've built with your bare hands and sheer will, would there be anything left worth loving? That's the question that haunts you, Capricorn. Not whether you're good enough, but whether you're lovable, simply as you are, without doing anything at all. This person is closer than you realize because they already know the answer. And they're waiting for you to know it too. Let's talk about your defenses, Capricorn. You've built them with precision, with intention, with the kind of strategic thinking that would make military generals weep with envy. Every stone in your fortress was placed deliberately. Every moat dug with purpose. You don't let people in easily because you learned early that vulnerability is dangerous, that showing your soft underbelly invites wounds you may never recover from. But here's the thing about fortresses. They're designed to keep people out. Yes, but they also keep you locked in. And somewhere in the architecture of your self-protection, you left a door. Maybe you didn't even realize it. Maybe it was an accident, a moment of weakness, a night when you were too tired to maintain the walls, and you let someone see you cry or laugh without calculation, or admit that you don't have all the answers. This person found that door. And instead of exploiting it, instead of using your vulnerability against you the way you've been conditioned to expect, they simply stood there, waiting, respecting the boundary, while making it clear they're not going anywhere. They're not demanding entry. They're not trying to tear down your walls. They understand that you built them for a reason, that they're part of your survival story, and they honor that. What you're struggling with right now is the cognitive dissonance of encountering someone who doesn't fit your defensive programming. You've been prepared for betrayal. You've rehearsed abandonment. You've got contingency plans for disappointment. But patience? Consistency? Someone who shows up not because they want something from you, but because they genuinely value your presence? You don't have a protocol for that, so you test them. Sometimes consciously, often unconsciously. You push them away to see if they'll fight to stay. You go cold to see if they'll chase you. You withhold to see if they'll demand more. And when they don't react the way you expect, when they simply remain steady, solid, present without agenda, it terrifies you. Because it means you might actually have to reconsider everything you've believed about love and worthiness, and whether it's safe to want something you can't control. The image you present to the world is one of absolute self-sufficiency. You're the friend everyone calls in a crisis because you're calm, rational, solutions-oriented. You're the professional who never cracks under pressure. You're the rock, the foundation, the one who holds everyone else together. And that image isn't false, it's real. You are those things. But you've worn that identity for so long that it's become a prison as much as it is a source of pride. Internally, though, there's a child who still remembers what it felt like to need someone and be disappointed. There's a teenager who learned that emotional needs were inconvenient, that crying was weakness, that asking for help meant you were failing. There's a young adult who decided it was easier to need nothing than to risk needing the wrong person. And all those versions of you are still living inside your fortress, whispering that it's not safe to open the door, that this person will leave like everyone else once they see the full truth of who you are. But what if they won't? What if this person is closer than you realize, specifically because they've already seen glimpses of your truth and they're still here? Capricorn, you're intimate with control. It's your love language, your coping mechanism, your religion. If you can plan it, predict it, manage it, then you can survive it. Control gives you the illusion of safety in a world that has repeatedly shown you how quickly everything can fall apart. And in your career, your finances, your daily routines, this approach serves you brilliantly. You're effective, reliable, successful. But love? Love doesn't respond to strategic planning. Love doesn't care about your 5-year plan or your risk assessment or your carefully constructed timelines. Love is chaos wearing a beautiful face. It's the one area of life where control is not just impossible, but counterproductive. And that's why you're struggling right now. This person represents everything your Capricorn nature wants to resist. Unpredictability, emotional exposure, the terrifying free fall of not knowing how the story ends. You can't guarantee this will work out. You can't create a spreadsheet that calculates the probability of heartbreak. You can't protect yourself from pain while simultaneously opening yourself to love. The two are inseparable. And that paradox is eating you alive. You keep waiting for the right moment, the right circumstances, the right version of yourself. You tell yourself that once you've healed a little more, achieved a little more, become a little more emotionally available, then you'll let this person in. But here's the truth bomb you need to hear. You're using not ready as a shield. You're confusing healing with perfection. And while you wait to become some idealized version of yourself, this person, this real, flawed, beautiful human who sees you and chooses you anyway, is standing in your present, not your imagined future. Hold on, Capricorn. Before we go deeper, I need to know something. Have you ever felt this? This specific tension between wanting someone and being terrified of wanting them? This exhausting dance of taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back? Drop a comment right now and tell me, I've felt this. Because I promise you, you're not alone in this struggle. Your story matters. Your experience is valid. And sometimes, just naming the thing gives us the power to transform it. Now let's continue. There's a particular kind of loneliness that Capricorns know better than most signs. It's not the loneliness of being alone. You can handle solitude. You've made peace with your own company. The loneliness that breaks you is the loneliness of being surrounded by people who fundamentally misunderstand who you are. They see your strength and assume you don't hurt. They see your achievements and assume you don't doubt. They see your composure and assume you don't feel deeply. And after a while, you stop correcting them. You let them believe the myth because it's easier than explaining the complexity of a heart that feels everything but shows nothing. This person who's closer than you realize, they see through the mythology. They notice the micro-expressions you thought you hid. They hear the things you don't say. They understand that your silence isn't indifference, it's overwhelm. That your distance isn't rejection, it's self-preservation. They've done something radical. They've taken the time to learn your language, to decode the ways you express love and fear and hope without ever saying the words directly. And that recognition, that feeling of being truly seen, is what scares you most of all. Because once someone sees you, truly sees you, you can't pretend anymore. You can't hide behind your accomplishments or your competence or your carefully curated image. You're just you, raw and real and imperfect. And the question that keeps you up at night is, will that be enough? The world sees a Capricorn who has it all together, who doesn't need validation or reassurance or softness, who is above the messy, emotional needs that plague other people. You've cultivated this image carefully because it keeps you safe from judgment, from disappointment, from the vulnerability of admitting that you're human. But inside, you're carrying years of unexpressed emotions. Every time you swallowed your hurt to keep the peace. Every time you comforted others while your own heart was breaking. Every time you showed up perfectly put together while falling apart internally. It's exhausting, this performance. And you're so tired of being strong in the way people expect, rather than being authentic in the way your soul craves. This person is offering you something revolutionary. Permission to be human. Permission to have bad days. Permission to not have all the answers. Permission to be loved not despite your vulnerabilities, but including them. And that's why they're closer than you realize, because they're not asking you to be anyone other than who you are. Here's the final truth, and it's going to sting a little. This person isn't just close to you physically or circumstantially. They're close to you because they're reflecting back everything you've been avoiding about yourself. Every fear, every wound, every belief about worthiness that you've never questioned, but they're showing you that you deserve love before you've earned it. They're demonstrating that consistency is possible, that not everyone leaves when things get hard. They're proving that vulnerability doesn't equal weakness, and that needing someone doesn't diminish your strength. And every time they show up in these ways, it challenges the entire narrative you've built your life around. But that's uncomfortable. It's destabilizing. It requires you to reconsider foundations you thought were solid, beliefs you thought were protecting you, but were actually limiting you. And Capricorn, you hate being wrong almost as much as you hate being out of control. So you've been keeping this person at arm's length not because you don't care about them, but because caring about them means confronting yourself that they're the mirror you've been avoiding. And the closer they get, the more clearly you see your own reflection, the parts you're proud of and the parts you've been hiding. The strength that's real and the strength that's just armor. The independence that empowers you and the independence that isolates you. This is your crossroads moment. You can keep treating this connection like a problem to be solved, a risk to be managed, a variable to be controlled. You can keep waiting for perfect conditions that will never come. You can keep telling yourself you're protecting yourself when really you're just delaying your own happiness. Or you can do the thing that terrifies you most, trust. Not blind trust, not naive trust, but conscious, eyes wide open trust. Trust that this person has earned their place in your orbit. Trust that they've shown up enough times, in enough ways, to deserve a chance. Trust that maybe, just maybe, you're worthy of the love that's already here, waiting for you to reach out and claim it. This is the heart of your struggle, Capricorn. You've spent your entire life building an empire of self-sufficiency because somewhere along the way, you learned that needing people was dangerous. That emotional investment led to emotional bankruptcy. That the only person you could truly rely on was yourself. And that belief has served you. It's made you powerful, resilient, capable of weathering storms that would destroy others. But it's also made you lonely in ways you don't admit, even to yourself. It's created a life where you're surrounded by admirers, but starving for intimacy. Where you're successful by every external measure, but questioning whether anyone loves you for who you are versus what you provide. This person who's closer than you realize, they're not trying to take anything from you. They're not another item on your to-do list or another responsibility to manage. They're offering partnership, companionship, a love that doesn't require you to be perfect, just present. A connection that doesn't diminish your strength, but enhances it by giving you someone to be strong with instead of strong for. The conflict isn't between you and them. It's between the Capricorn who believes love must be earned through endless achievement, and the Capricorn who's exhausted from trying to be enough. It's between the part of you that knows you deserve tenderness, and the part that's terrified of what happens when you allow yourself to receive it. You stand at the base of the mountain you've been climbing your entire life. And this person is offering you their hand. Not to carry you, not to save you, but to climb alongside you, to share the weight, to celebrate the summits, and endure the storms as a team. The question is, are you brave enough to accept? Capricorn, you've built a beautiful life with your discipline, your determination, your unwavering commitment to excellence. But a beautiful life isn't the same as a full life. And fullness requires letting people in. It requires risking your heart. It requires admitting that sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't climbing higher. It's allowing yourself to be caught when you fall. This person is closer than you realize because love doesn't wait for perfect timing. It doesn't wait for you to have all your trauma healed or all your goals achieved. It shows up messy and inconvenient and absolutely terrifying, offering you a choice. Keep building walls or start building bridges. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest achievement of your life won't be the empire you build or the summit you reach. Maybe it will be the moment you choose to be vulnerable with someone who's proven they can hold that vulnerability with care. Maybe it will be the moment you realize that you don't have to do everything alone. You are not weak for wanting connection. You are not failing for needing support. You are not less than because you're not completely healed. You are human. Beautifully, perfectly, messily human. And you are worthy of love exactly as you are right now. Now I want to hear from you. Have you been feeling this person's presence in your life, but pushing them away because you're scared? Have you been telling yourself you're not ready when really you're just afraid? Drop a comment below and share your truth. What's been holding you back from accepting the love that's already here? Your story matters. Your journey matters. And sometimes, speaking our truth out loud is the first step toward transformation. That if this resonated with you, subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into the emotional and spiritual landscape of your sign. Hit that like button to let me know this connected with you. And remember, the person you've been searching for might already be standing right in front of you, waiting for you to finally see them. Until next time, Capricorn, may you find the courage to climb down from your mountain and meet love on level ground.